What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Six Deuce, co-host here at SR Broadcast. Sign and Spill Records, Shout Pod Production, Shout 417 OPM, Shout Two Turn Empire, Shout Cali Media, shout the whole team, everybody rocking. Sorry for the late start. Appreciate everybody for tapping in tonight. We are with the dope music artist. I appreciate him for tapping in. I want y'all to show him some love. I'll go ahead and I'll let him tell you where he's from, his name and how to say it, what he does, etc. So it's an honor to have everybody in here. If you're tapping in, you're new, it takes 2 seconds. Please hit that subscribe button. And if you want free live interviews, tap in with us. You want free promo, go follow us at SR underscore broadcast on Instagram. And we have TikTok, Facebook, everything. So tap in. So what's going on, man? Go ahead and tell the people who you are, where you're coming from, and what you got going on, basically.
Hey yo, so I'm Anesthesia with the dollar signs for the S's you can see in the title probably, and I'm from actually not sharing where I'm from right now for some personal reasons, but it should come out soon. But I got some shit going on right now, and I actually can't share it. But I'm a rapper. I make music all day long. I work hard. You know what I mean? Like I drop multiple times a week. So if you're a fan of me, you're gonna be eating. So that's just what I do. You know what I mean? Working hard. I'm trying to perfect my sound, perfect my craft, and just make something that you're gonna like. You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. And we got Rich Reed up in here popping in the comments. Shout out to him. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, man, let's start. I got 15 questions for you. Then we're gonna play some of your music for a little bit. Interviews 30 minutes, and let's get straight to it. So, first question is: you've been into music since you were a kid. Do you remember the first moment you felt when you pretty much in lesser words, because I'm putting my own words, that like when you felt you officially started making music?
Mm, man, when I was like 7/8, I'm probably gonna make some people sound feel old when I say this, but like when I was like 7/8, that was like the SoundCloud era. So there
Yeah,
was like XXX Tentacion, like all those guys, and I got really into it. I'd been listening to music my whole life. Like in my house, there was a lot of like Michael Jackson and shit, and so like I listened to music my whole life. But when I heard those guys, when you're a kid, you want to be whoever you look up to. You know what I mean? And so I
yeah,
just wanted to start rapping. I was just writing. Like I had fucking like Google Docs on my computer of like shit I was writing. And so that's when I started, and I had like a cracked version of FL Studio, and I would like go on YouTube and I'd watch like the beat tutorials, and I just copy everything just like exactly to FL Studio and just like rap over it. And so like that's when I first started making music, but then my parents kind of shut me down because they didn't like the shit I was writing and they just weren't with it. So but then I came back into it, and here I am, you know what I mean?
no, that's real, bro. And it's crazy you say that because you say SoundCloud area, then you know that as far back as when you didn't upload directly to SoundCloud, you could really rap straight off your device or record just like that. I used to remember using my Android. I would literally press record from the app directly because there was a record button, and I would
Yeah.
hold it to a speaker. So I feel you, bro, all the way back to then, man, till now. And it's came a long way. Not just SoundCloud people, the era, the music community has really shifted since then. Cause like I would say that SoundCloud, because I remember, I don't know about everybody else, it's funny. Me personally, I don't want to get off track. There's a lot of stuff people make fun of. Like, I just find it crazy what people make fun of. So what I'm trying to get at is like SoundCloud back then. Like, I used to have people back then make fun of Fila and all these other shoes, and now they're wearing all that and Champion. So my whole point
Yeah.
is SoundCloud. I used to remember this to SoundCloud. People like, oh, you got that cheapo app. Da, 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 da. My whole point is
Right.
that to now to see where SoundCloud and everybody is at with it, it just goes to show when you put that effort and you're open minded, how much things can shift, bro. Because things have really changed since back then. You know what I mean? All the way from unfortunately artists that you named no longer with us, and all the
Mm.
way from the new people that are in the game like yourself. So it's good to see your effort all the way from then and now, and see you're consistent and keep doing your thing. Was my point. Sometimes I get a little, I wouldn't say off track, but because I try to have real and raw when I talk with people. Sometimes people are gonna say it's organized, but I don't like to be so scripted because at the same time, then is it really real? You know what I mean? Because I can call shit up all day. Like for example, you can hear my kids in the background. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You
of
could
course.
here in the family life I got going on, like I don't fake it for nobody. So I appreciate you guys when you bring your authentic self here and tell it like it is, in your journey, basically. So
Of
let's
course.
get question 2 going, and that is, you said you wanted to rap at 7 years old. What were your early lyrics like, if you remember?
Man, like it was like it was all over the place. Like I was rapping like past the bar was over and all that shit. Like I didn't know how to structure nothing. I didn't know how to like fit each bar into an actual bar. I just heard the word bar. I just thought it was like a line or like, just a part of the song. I didn't understand all that. And so like there was no type of flow or anything. The rhyming was like all fucked up and shit. Like I would write about getting like bullied on the bus or some shit and just like write about that shit. And it was like, I don't know, it was just so stupid. And then I'd like write shit that I just heard in a song, like write about a chain. I never had a chain or like just, random shit like that. When you're a kid like that, you just want to make something like exactly what you heard, you know what I mean? When you're first starting off making music, you just want to copy whatever you like. And
What you're
so
inspired by?
what?
What you were inspired by, pretty much, as growing up.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us do that, because you're right. Because I remember even what made me, and I appreciate people's honesty sometimes, but then again, don't always let people's opinions shape my advice. How you rap, do what you want, but at the same time, I do appreciate honest advice. What I mean by that, this is entailing into early stages of a lot of MCs. I don't know how it is for people, but I know, like me growing up, I remember first like 12 years old trying to write something, and then like I showed it to one of my friends. I remember bro going, "Hey bro, I'm not trying to like be mean, but this is so generic, bro. Like you just," but I'm like, "Bro, I'm just rapping like what I see, what I think is, cool." So I feel what you mean, bro. Like a lot of our early stages, we were finding ourselves, you know what I mean? A lot of people do,
Yeah.
bro. So but that's what makes music, like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like a lot of artists can admit to that they began a certain way, but then they get to find themselves. So that's why I see it in a lot of artists like, "Oh, like his whole style switched up, or he's not the same." That's because a lot of artists don't do it for the people. They're doing it for themselves. They're finding what they
Of course.
like best, because I feel like a lot of supporters, shout to them, by the way, because it wouldn't be possible without them. But they forget, as artists, we still do a lot of stuff for ourselves, and that's okay. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It's
Exactly.
okay to have music, but I feel like when you start learning to do music for yourself and not really caring what people say, you'll find your crowd, is what I'm trying to get at. Because
Of
it's not
course.
always trying to appeal to people, even though they say that's the goal. Appeal to yourself, because the people that would appeal to you are going to like it, is what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
So when you bring your own sound, regardless of what it is, your crowd will find you. And I feel like a lot of artists are in a rush to find their crowd, and don't, bro, don't. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's like if you're exclusive, it's gonna be that way. So it is what it is. But my third question for you is, how did being discouraged early on affect how you approach music now?
Man, I honestly, it just improved the way I am now because it just like when I came back to rap, like when I came back to rap, I stopped caring about what other people said about my shit. You know what I mean? Because my whole thing at the time was that I can't do anything related to rap because my parents had like sowed that, in my mind. And so when I came back, it was like, I'm not giving a fuck about what anybody has to say about me. You know what I mean? Like, it was just me going for the music that I loved and that like resonated with me. And so when I came back to it, honestly, the discouragement I had when I was a kid, that just improved my process later on, as much as it like pulled me away from it. And like, I wish I did have that time where I was still working on rap instead of like caring what they had to say about me. But like at this point, like I'm just not giving fucks. And I feel like if I didn't have that experience early on, I would still be giving fucks right now. So you know what I mean?
No, 100%. And my apologies. I was also paying attention, just checking on my daughter. But no, you know what? That's
Oh, good.
that's some real stuff, because you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. It's unfortunate. I'm not sure how a relationship now that isn't on here. But I feel like that's a question I want to ask. But before I say a question, I'm gonna give my statement, and my statement is basically don't Exactly that. Let people, regardless, even if it's family, because believe it or not, sometimes your own family won't see it. And I feel like that happens a lot. That's why they say strangers believe in you before your own family, because it's hard for people to see you the way you see you. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Sometimes
of
people
course.
don't fully grasp who you are because they're so used to another version of you,
Mhm.
especially parents or family members. They're used to you as a family member. So it's hard for them to grasp the concept of, especially how distorted the image of being a music artist is now. And I think that's what ruins it for a lot of people. But don't let it ruin it for you, is that now I'm not saying me, a lot of us, and I'm not necessarily including myself in that, but I also like to take accountability. So some way, in some form, I'll take responsibility when I say that it's so watered down. And I'm not saying I'm not saying I make it. I'm just saying in the sense of, we forget that music is not meant for other people to always like it. That's why I repeat what I said earlier. You're supposed to like it. You're supposed to
Exactly.
be satisfied and happy with your craft. As long as you like the music you make and you're happy with what you're doing, because a lot of people have stopped early too soon, either because of what people said, what they thought, or the outcome, or feedback. Because feedback should not always be taken, even if it isn't. It's hard because I've had it to where there's times in my head I may not say it out loud, but I've been like, dang, that comment have got to me, because we're human, right? We're
Yeah.
gonna have things said to us, and us, our spirit, especially when you're in the early stages of trying to figure it out. That's again back to looking for ourselves when artists early stage, not just with bars, but with personality, with where you're trying to go with it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm glad you didn't let that deter you, because there's so many people that do stop early because of it, because they let one opinion or people's influence what they do next. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
my question is, how is your relationship now with your parents as far as your music goes? Like, would you say they're more supportive now? Do they still like on the fence about it? Like,
Well, me and my mom actually, her and I haven't been in contact for the last couple years because of she's just yeah. But my dad and I, we're close, and he kind of just realized over time that like I'm gonna be doing this no matter what he says. So he just kind of gave up trying to like discourage me from that shit. Cause like there was a time where he didn't want me to make the music because it was on a laptop. And so he thought that wasn't real music if I'm not really playing instruments. And so like it was just ridiculous, and like that stuff got in my head. And all I can say is that like if you're an artist that's being discouraged by people, just don't let them determine your future. Like all these artists who got hate, every artist got hate because you weren't put on this earth to please everybody. You know what I mean? Like that's just not, if you're being yourself, then you're not pleasing everybody. So just be yourself and live for yourself and live in your truth. And all kinds of negativity is just untruth. And so, just keep your head high and don't worry about that shit. You know what I mean?
um, one thing I want to say is that what's some advice you give somebody that is experiencing doubt? Um, and what's something, or what's some piece of advice you would give to your old self about doubt? Not just people now. Like, if you could tell your old self what your new self knows now, what would it be, and what could you tell people that are dealing with that, especially when it's family members or people they know?
Right. So I'll start this off by saying I've dealt with doubt, from like external sources, and I've dealt with doubt from internal sources, like me doubting myself or like coming up with reasons why I shouldn't be doing it. Whether that was like ingrained from other people, I don't know, but I've dealt with doubt from like all kinds of sides. And so I would say get in the stew, low key, get in the studio and record. Like that's the best way for an artist to crush the doubt they're having, crush the, just the mental blockage they're having. Just get in the stew, rap about it, rap more about it. Just keep creating. That's what I would say. Create through it. You know what I mean? And just don't let yourself have that lull. You know what I mean? Because yeah, exactly. Someone said practice makes perfect. Exactly. Get those reps in, and you're gonna get more comfortable as an artist. You're gonna appreciate it more, and if you create, nothing bad can come out of that as an artist.
my next question to that, and that's real, is that what made you come back to rapping in high school after quitting?
The album "The College Dropout" by Kanye. I had heard that album for the first time when I was like in high school, and the song "Jesus Walks" in particular, like that, like I was already enjoying the album by the time that song came on, but when that song came on, like it was over with. Like I was just gonna like that was what I was gonna do. You know what I mean? Like I was like that was the moment where I was like, I'm done giving a fuck about what people say about this type of music to me, or like that I shouldn't do it and all that shit. And like when I heard that song, like it was over with. Like I just the next day I started making some shit on like GarageBand. I started writing lyrics and shit and freestyling and shit. And from then on, it's just been over with. I don't think I've skipped a day rapping since then. That was like 3 years ago.
That's dope. Shout Kanye, and
Yeah.
I have to say, I can't say the name. Let's just say people like him and the Austrian painter with a mustache know something you don't. Yeah, I'm just saying, man. I'm not saying I agree with the man's tactics, specifically the
Yeah.
Austrian painter with a mustache, but
Yeah.
let's just say Kanye is an individual that maybe did we misunderstand both? Are there things that they know that we don't know, and people misunderstand them because they're themselves? And I know that's
Yeah.
crazy to say in a way, and I don't want to get too deep on that because people are gonna be like, but let's just say Kanye is a perfect example of believing in yourself even when people think you're insane.
Mhm.
Straight
That
up.
with like and I do think he does have a little hint of mental illness though on the real for like
No, no,
I
no, I
do
mean,
think he is
hey. But
yeah.
then again, we all do at a point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
At a point, we all. That's why I try to tell people, like, because mind you, in a perfect society of America, you're okay as long as you have a pill, caffeine. Everybody has their own vice, their own addictions, their own, and
Exactly.
because they normalize it, it's normal. You know what I'm saying? But they'll demonize all the other, how can I say, ethical ways. But as long as I feel like just not the government or people make it ethical, it's all right. Because trust me, you ever notice how it's okay for a doctor to tell you he can give you over the counter opiates and benzymes and all these crazy things, but it's and you could go to war at 18, but you can't smoke a little weed. You can't
Right.
do a little, I mean, you can, but for the most part, a lot of states still trip. A lot of places. What I'm getting at is just society has its funny way of making you think what's bad for you is good for you, and what's good for you is bad for you. You know what I
They
mean?
want to keep you docile, you know what I mean? So we can't come together and see them for who they really are, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Because that's the thing. It's the insane people that want you to think you're insane.
Yeah, exactly. For real.
Real.
It's the
So
hater culture. Like haters are like I always said haters are like the police force of the system because the haters are trying to keep you in check and keep you from expressing yourself, and they're trying to put you down for being emotionally vulnerable. And so I always say haters are the police force of the system.
facts, bro. And I want to get to question 6 for you, and I want to say, do you feel any pressure to slow down, or do you feel like you got the energy to keep going for years and years? Like, I guess what the question I'm trying to ask is like, when the pressure gets to you, do you ever feel like it makes you slow down, or does it make you more hungry in lesser words?
See, that's the thing. Like, I have a super hyperactive mind, and so I feel like every day I go through the full range of emotions. I swear to God, like I'll have one day where I feel super confident that I'm gonna make it and all that shit, and then the next day I'll feel just locked, and I'll just feel like nothing's gonna go right for me, and look at what this person's saying, all that shit. Like it's a day by day thing, and I just feel like every time I feel like that, I go in the studio, I make a song. I try to make 3 songs a day, and so like that's my kind of regimen and shit. And so I'll go in the studio and make a song, get my shit out, and every time I make a song, that kind of relieves the pressure a little bit. You know what I mean? And I just love making moves. I'm addicted to making moves, whether that's posting short form content, making a song, dropping an album. I'm just addicted to making moves, and I know that as long as I keep making moves, I can't fail.
Okay, I guess that somewhat answers 7, but feel free to elaborate if you feel like you have more to
For
say
sure.
on this. But in that sense, it also went on to the next question with how would you describe your creative mindset when you're locked in more specifically? And again, what you said kind of ties into it, but if you want to kind of elaborate more, you're more than welcome. But I kind of feel like, you answered it, but you're more than welcome to if you feel like you missed anything.
Yeah, I guess I could just add that, like, yeah, someone said hustle addiction. That's Reed, actually. I have a couple of songs with him out. Check out Be My Own Boss. But anyway, but my creative mindset, like when I'm in the stew and I've made like 3 songs, I'm ready to make another one. I'm in my flow state. If anybody has ever heard of like what flow state is, it's when you're just in perfect focus and you can just keep going, and like that's where I am. And like that's my creative mindset is like I said, like 3 songs a day. That's like my quota. And then past then is like when I have more energy, some days I'll make 10 songs in a day, and so that's my creative mindset, just express myself and just keep going no matter what.
100%. All right. I was gonna say, so that leaves me with the next question. You've been open about recovering from addiction. What was your turning point?
My turning point. Oh God. All right. So I had actually overdosed on. Okay. So I actually overdosed. I was in the hospital and I was like seeing shit like for 3 days straight. I was like hallucinating in the hospital and shit. And like I was on a binge and I had done a lot of a certain drug and I had been sent to the hospital and like I was in there and I was like seeing shit, hallucinating. There was a point where I pulled my IV out and I like ran out into the hall and shit because I thought there was a person with a gun in my room. Like it was bad. And, like, so that experience scared the hell out of me. Like it scared the fuck out of me.
Which,
and then after that,
hey, right?
Yeah,
That is quite the situation, man.
Yeah, exactly. And so that scared the fuck out of me. And then I went to rehab and went to like a treatment thing for like 8 weeks. And like I think that if I had just went right back out and just, was at home and shit, I probably would have relapsed like in a week, because the fear when you're in addiction like that, you need that shit. And like if you get scared by something like that, by an overdose or whatever, you're gonna come back to it. Like the fear, it doesn't last long on its own. But I went to the rehab facility and I kind of like spent some time sober, and I realized that I like being sober more than I like being high in most cases, because I just felt like I was more in control. And I think that like going to that facility and like just spending more time, that's really what like made me sober. And I've been sober for like a year and a half now. So, it's been going well. But I think that if I had just like gone back home, like I would have gone right back on that shit, because you just need it. When you're addicted, you just fucking need it. It's not even a choice. It's a disease. So,
yeah. I do want to say that I'm proud of you for being sober, first of all. I want to say, second of all, thank you for being open about that, because one thing we don't do here, especially on SR Broadcast, is judge. And I don't think anybody should with those type of things, because people forget people are still human and what we go through doesn't define us. And what I mean by that is a mistake doesn't define us. You know what I mean? We all have to learn ways. And I'm just glad that you're able to see that. And I hope people that watch this interview can eventually, if they're fighting addiction, that they can see the light in being sober. They can see the light in having joy in life and enjoying it without being numb, without having that buzz, without having that fix, right? Because it's not easy. I mean, see, unfortunately, I have not experienced addiction in the sense of drugs, but then again, just because you're not addicted, really, what is the definition of addicted, right? So, but as far as like I really know what I mean, but I mean the sense of like, we all have our addiction, right, in life. It could be a drug, it could be here. Addiction is something that we all deal with that might not even notice, right? So I just want people to be very wary of the fact to not judge nobody and understand that it's easier said than done. That's kind of all my whole message behind that. So salute the people that have gotten sober, getting sober, in the middle of getting sober, and shout the people that are in the middle of addiction but don't realize they're that much closer to getting sober. You know what I mean?
For sure, bro.
So shout out to everybody that's just trying to fight for a better life. This gets on to my next question when I say, speaking of that situation, how did music help you survive through that period of your life?
Oh man. So when I first got sober, so I was high from 13 to almost 17. Like I was just high that whole period of my life. Like there were times like I had quit 40 times, 40 more times where like I just said, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this and I'd be back on it in a week, But like besides that, I was high from like 13 to almost 17. And I think that right when I got sober, like I didn't know who I was anymore because I had made my whole life about drugs and getting money to get drugs. And that's how it is. Like when you're growing up like that period of your life is really where you find yourself. And so when you make your life about drugs, once you get sober, you don't know who you are. And so right when I got sober, I started making music way more. My productivity went way up. And like that's kind of how I found myself, like found who I was again after I gotten off drugs again. And so like, that music helped me a lot with that shit.
No, that's awesome, bro. And I guess that also ties into the next few questions is when I say, was there a moment you realized like, man, I really can't go back to that life, like other than, that experience, like were there any times after, well, not just when you were finding yourself, but that you could say like just a reminder, like, man, this is really why I shouldn't go back to that life.
Tons of reminders. There are tons. Like just the other day I was thinking, it just kind of like hit my mind, like how much more stable shit is in my life now, where like I'm just not fucking crazy anymore. I was crazy at the time. Like I was batshit crazy. And like when I think about how I used to treat people at the time and like shit like that, like it comes up in anything. Like I'll remember anything. And it just every reminder can kind of just be summed up in I just remember how bleak and just how just like sad I was at the time and just how sad life was and like just depressing. Like I remember like the last 2 weeks of my addiction, I was really going hard. And I remember I told my girlfriend multiple times, like, I just don't care, like, if I die or go to prison. And I like meant that. Like, I really meant that to my soul. Like, I just didn't care. I didn't have a care in the world, And so, like, I'm just happy that I got sober at the time I did. I'm happy, God helped me out of that. And even when I used to not believe in God, I kind of found God after I got sober. But that's another story. But just reminders and everything, man. I have money now. Like I used to spend money every time I would get a hold of it, on drugs. Like I couldn't hold on to $20. And so like everything, man. I'm just every time I'm happy, that's a reminder of when I wasn't, you know what I mean?
Well, I want to say though, myself, including the whole SR broadcast faculty, want to say we're proud of you, bro. We really do, because that's not an easy thing to do. And I know a lot of people out there on a high horse. You've heard this a lot of times. Oh, if you want to get sober, you can. Oh, we're not gonna feel bad for drug addicts. We're not, and people gotta understand it's not necessarily about feeling bad. It's just about being human. You know what I'm saying? Because it could easily be you. It could easily be your loved one. So I want people to always remember that before they sit on a high horse and try to tell people how they should live their lives and how bad they are doing and how good that person may or may not be doing. Because the truth is, we're not God. We're not God, and we're nobody to judge, And I just try to put that, because we're all guilty of it. There's times sure we all in our life have judged somebody, but I just feel like we need to grow as people, and uplifting people is the answer. Some people don't want help, but some people are struggling with help. Some people don't even know they need help, So I just want people to be very, very conscious on how they treat people. And like you said, I'm glad that you're just conscious of how you treated people or how you used to feel and how you're able to overcome that, and how you see in your life the positivity in doing better and staying sober and the importance of staying sober, because you're able to actually feel and experience life. And again, like I said earlier, not always feel numb or gone, because everybody struggles with a lot of things, and it's just good to see that you're happy and more than content with your new and improved self. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's, I'm glad, and I'm hoping that's what's keeping you away from that, and that's great. You know what I mean? Because you're seeing how much you have changed, because some people don't. Some people take that for granted, like you said, go right back on it. Some people don't care, whatever they're fighting, or not even they care, they're just going through it. So people, who knows, I haven't been through that to know the millions and millions of reasons. I just hope people see the light. I'm glad you did. So on to the next question. When I say is, do you feel your music changed after you got clean?
Hey, I got better, actually. A lot of people, there's like this myth in the music industry that drugs improve music. Like, you talk about all these greats and you're like, oh shit, they were on heroin or they were, sipping lean all the time or, whatever it was. And people equate artistry and like better artistry with more drug use. But really what it is that like artists were made to feel like we're not able to fit into the world. In the system that we live in, it's all about product, 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 and like creativity doesn't fit into that. And so artists, it's really just because artists struggle with fitting into the world. And, we've been rejected so much in our lives and we just feel weird. We feel like the other. And so like, that's the real reason why you find all these artists on drugs because, it's hard for us to cope. And like, it's hard to like, feel like we belong in the world and shit. And so like, it's not really about more drugs equals better artistry. It's, it's what I said. So like, I'm not going to just repeat myself, but yeah.
No, you're not repeating yourself, boss. And that's the thing on this platform too. When y'all are on here, the floor is yours. You know what I'm saying? Y'all aren't ever saying too much or not. And that's kind of why, and again, I'm gonna repeat it. One, I'm not a perfect person. One, everybody knows me. I have a mumbling problem. You know what I'm saying? When I have a speech problem, I just think very fast. I'm overthinker myself. I'm human myself. I have a bunch of ideas and talk too fast myself. But that's exactly why I'm not afraid to be myself. And I don't want anybody ever to be on here hesitate to be themselves, because you know what? We could sit here like all these other podcasts and coach it down to the T and perfect and clip everything, but it wouldn't be real if you guys didn't see my mistakes. It wouldn't be real if you didn't see me real as a person. It wouldn't be real if you didn't see all around for what I have to offer, what the guests have to offer. So it's like, bro, don't ever feel like you're talking too much, not talking too much. Hey, man, I wouldn't have invited you on here if I don't want to hear you speak. You know what I mean? So I always try to tell people and encourage people, like, that's another what's the right word for it that I'm thinking I don't know the word, but I just feel like it's I'm gonna call it toxic culture in the music industry and in the podcasting industry. Yes, you want your final product to be as polished up and as clean as possible, but it's like I feel like everything's too scripted now. Everything's so scripted. What happened to just let the mistakes play? What happened to freestyling? You mess up, you hop right back on and fix that mistake. Like I feel like everything is like so perfect and uniform, and it's like what we were just saying. That's why artists probably don't fit into the world, because let's be real, you get one or two, love or hate because people didn't chase their dreams like you did, and they're mad they're not doing what you're doing and making it how you're making it, or love because people love what you do. But that's exactly why, because in this world, if you're not a good little worker, because be real, education is important. I want to stop that notion of, oh, school's for nothing. No, you make it what you best. It's the same way. If I get a car and I have nothing to do with that car, it's just a car. But if I get a truck and I make it a work truck, that's bringing me revenue now. For example, if you have an LLC, you can make your car your company car. My whole point, there's so many things you could do with your skills. So to say it's not a value, it's just you're not making it a value. You know what I mean? So I say that all the way to being an artist. I don't think a lot of people see the value in that. They just think, oh man, you're just rapping, you're just doing that. So a lot of people don't feel that. You know what I mean? And in today's society or society in general, if you're not a uniform person or a good working being and everybody fall in place and fall in line, everything has to be the same. Society doesn't want us to be different. They want us to be workers. You know what I'm saying? So get your education. So it's not that education is a waste. Use it and make it to your value. It's not that the schools aren't teaching you right. You're not searching. We literally have laptops. We literally live in a world to where we have technology in our hand,
resources,
computer in our pocket. So we have Google, we have AI, ChatGPT. There's so many things. Back then, you think in the 80s, the 50s, the 40s, way back when they could go, oh, hey, Google.
Yeah.
No, so anybody's excuse nowadays, the lack of knowledge, lack of skill, that's a personal problem. And I say that with no disrespect. You know what I mean? I mean that with all like humbleness, that people need to apply themselves, especially in a day and age to where literally everything's handed. You got food delivery at a finger's touch. You got shopping at a finger's touch. You don't even got to move no more. You ain't even got to do nothing no more. You can literally from your phone do everything, bro. You can do anything from your phone.
Literally.
But yeah.
And I just wanted to add to that, like when you said how people don't really see the like artists is like, they like how you just said, like, oh, they're just rapping, like, yeah, like that's how like the masses see it. And I just wanted to add that like if you're an artist like me and if you work every day and you record every day and you know how music has affected your life, like we know what it is, you know what I mean? Like it affects us and we're breathing like we're breathing our perspective and our expression into our shit. And so like we know that our shit will eventually like touch people in the way that it has touched us. And so like, you know, as much as you get hated on and shit, just keep your head up and you know, just keep working and just keep going, man. That's all I gotta say.
No, 100%, bro. And I want to go ahead and finish off with and I don't mind because you know we are 5 minutes over, but it's not a bad thing. I don't want to rush out of here. I'll go ahead and there was a few questions. I'm not saying they were not important, but I'm gonna get to the last one. So it kind of adds into what I want you to say. I want to get this last moment before I end it off with a song of yours. I want to say, what is something you want to say to everybody that's either struggling with addiction, doubting themselves in the music, all different message you just want to tell people, update, shout out to your labels, whatever. Shout out to anything you got going on, bro. Your brand, your people, bro. This is your time to do it. Time to send your message. Tell the people who you are, where to follow you, where to find your music, man. All that good stuff. And then we'll go ahead and play one of your songs and end it off, man. I thank you for coming on here.
For sure, bro. So first off, to anybody feeling doubt or you know, I'll start with anybody feeling doubt. You know, I'm gonna repeat something that I heard from Future in an interview. You got to have tunnel vision, meaning don't focus on anything that isn't that next step. You know what I mean? Don't focus on any opinion, any comment, none of that. And like when I heard that, that really like snapped for me. And you know, you just got to lock in on what it is you want to do. And if this is your dream, you can't let anybody else determine your future or get in your head or slow you down. You just got to keep that momentum going. And you just got to, if you have the energy to do it, you know, get on that and just work for it. And I know that you'll be able to do it you know, if you really put in, if you really put in all your effort and time, you can do anything. I could be a brain surgeon. It would just require me to put in time and effort. And so like that's my perspective on the world. And that's how I want people to see the world. Any artists who are like coming up right now, like just keep going. And then for anybody struggling with addiction, I just want to say that first off, recognize that you have an addiction. That's the hardest part. And then if you believe that if you actually want to get help, then go for it. And it's possible. And there's people who have been in it even more than you that were able to get fully clean and stay clean for the rest of their life. Like, you know, people who are on meth for 15 years straight, they were able to get clean. And, you know, I know that you can do it and it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really shitty for the first couple weeks up to a month. It's going to be really shitty. And so, maybe just try to, you know, go to NA meetings or put yourself in a treatment facility or whatever and just, you know, you can do it. I know you can do it. And also, so I got a single coming out on Tuesday. It's called Didn't See a Limit. Check that out. It's gonna be on all plats. Tuesday, December 23rd. Also, I got a new album out. Came out Friday. Still on time 3. So listen to that. Beyond that, if you're a fan of me, you're gonna get drops multiple times a week. So you know, keep your eyes out for that. And yeah, that's all I gotta say, bro. You frozen, bro? Not sure what happened, but see y'all later. Anesthesia on all plats.
Yo, 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 yo. Shout out everybody. Hey, man. Shout out Anesthesia. I'm so sorry about that. We're going to have to bring him back for a part two live interview. I just want to tell everybody much love, much respect. My phone had died. I don't know what's going on. I did my very best, and that's so, you know how it goes, man. But we're going to bring him back. It was a dope live interview. Your boy's doing his best. I'm in the middle of moving and all sorts of things. Can't say where, can't say how, but boy got a lot of stuff going on right now in his life. But it's Spill Records. It's SR Broadcast. Shout out to everybody. Shout out Reed. Shout out Anesthesia for popping in. And I apologize for the technical difficulty at the end. It was me trying to get back in. It wasn't just my phone dying. 2 seconds could have got right back in, and then I was logged out of my computer. So it's just, man, technical difficulties. But good night, everybody. Stay blessed. Can't wait to see everybody. And yep, let's get it.